Don't compromise. Don't compromise on the school that you want to go to. Don't compromise on who you are. I can't imagine going to any other business school.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the best MBA podcast in the world, Get to Be School. This is your host, Drex, and I'm grateful that you're here. I'm coming to you from Salt Lake City today because, like I said last week, my sweet wife booked a surprise Thanksgiving trip. So we spent the weekend with family and friends. It was phenomenal. I hope you had a good weekend. I hope you were able to spend some time with people that you love and able to get a little R&R, hopefully. Regardless of how last week went, I hope you have a phenomenal week this week, and we'll see if we can start it off right with this amazing conversation with Benedict. Will Adams, shout out to my friend Will. He was on a few episodes before. Will put me in touch with Benedict, and I'm so grateful that he did. Benedict shares great insights of some highlights from his time at Duke. I really loved the part where he talks about fighting to get off the wait list. I think you'll enjoy it as well. It was a really fun part of the conversation. It's a perfect example of what fun happens when people like Will, people like you, make an introduction. So if you know anyone who should be on the show, or if you should be on the show, please reach out. It's so much fun that way. The other usual request, please consider leaving a 5-star review and sharing this with a friend. You guys are amazing in doing what you do, and I really appreciate the support. I have to call out the audio on this week is a little bit quirky. There's a couple of jips, so that's my fault. I had to take the call from the office, and now I'm traveling, so cut me some grace. We're working on this thing. I hope it doesn't distract from the amazing takeaways that Benedict shares. So thank you to Benedict. Thank you to Will. Thank you to each and every one of you. And now let's get to the good part with Benedict. Benedict, thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Awesome. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm actually excited that you sent me an invite.
Will Adams, that's our connection.
Yes, I know Will, great guy. We have a lot of fun together in the office. We talk about Survivor. I don't know if you watch. We're like trying to figure out when we both have time to play pickleball, but we're both at Bain, so I don't know if that's gonna happen anytime soon.
Yeah, trying to schedule pickleball with Will. He's always up for something, but his schedule is very full, as it's yours now. So
yes, but it will happen one day.
Absolutely, and invite me as well. I'm in Chicago too, so let me come. And I'll just get the ball for you guys. I'm terrible at pickleball. I'll be the caddy. Well, Benedict, would you mind introducing yourself a bit to the listeners?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Drexler. My name is Benedict. I am originally from Nigeria. I studied electrical engineering in undergrad, and I did work as an engineer a couple of years in Nigeria and in Ghana. But then after a while, I just felt like that path was no longer interesting to me, and I quit my job as an engineer in the middle of COVID, actually, or just before COVID started. And then I would move back to Nigeria to pursue a career in consulting. Took a little while due to COVID, touch and go for 8 months before I finally got the offer that I was looking for. And then I joined PwC, specifically the deals advisory practice in PwC. I was drawn straight into the deep end. I had no idea what I was doing in deals because literally I'd worked as an engineer for 4 years. And now I was trying to help advise companies that wanted to buy, sell, divest, invest, and things like that. That was really fun for me. I knew I was a fast learner, so I was able to pick some things up. And that process of also learning was very, very fun for me. Well, it could be stressful. And then also I had this little voice at the back of my head, since I didn't really get a formal education in business, I felt like I needed that education to feel more confident in my line of work. And then I decided to go to business school. Then I applied to Duke and some other schools. Duke was my top choice. Initially waitlisted, but I eventually came out the waitlist, and so I joined Duke. Thankfully, I am right now in Bain. I was able to secure an offer from Bain before I got into business school, and that just allowed me to really focus on my business school experience.
Awesome. You are our second guest who fought their way off of the Duke waitlist. And I use the word fight intentionally. I don't know if you have a lot of thoughts, but Landon Iyer was our other guest who did the same thing, and he has some great insights. So give the listeners a little bit about your experience getting off the waitlist.
For me, I applied knowing that, it's one of the top schools and they're also like, they're nice enough to put you on the wait list. I'll put it like that because, some schools are just like tell you no, but Duke is like, it's not a no, but let's see.
Gotcha.
And I initially was going to apply for the first round, but back to my very busy consulting job before, I couldn't and then had to push to the second round. When I applied in the second round, then I got waitlisted. I was supposed to get back in March and I didn't. Initially, I was like, I'm not going to Duke anymore. Like, why would they waitlist me? I had such a great interview. Like,
Yeah.
so I went through like 2 or 3 days where I literally did not respond to the waitlist request because I was like stewing and sulking. But then at that point, I remembered, the mettle of a man is not how he reacts when everything is going well, but how he reacts when things are not going well specifically. And so I just remembered that in my time of being low, I remember going to the bathroom at my workplace. I just like splashed water on my face and I was like, game face on, let's go back and like, let's try to change this. And then I went back. Then I like set up a plan, okay, I'm going to like try to tell them that, hey, I know I'm on the wait list, but this is my plan of action basically to get up the wait list. I formulated a plan and then I literally shared it with the school like, hey, thank you for putting me on the wait list. You're giving me the chance to show you why I want to come to Fuqua. And I really appreciate that. And I listed like, hey, I'm going to do this and this and this. Everybody's plan is different, right? So you have to look at your application and try to figure out, where is my application lacking? And then based off of that, come up with a plan. And I thought like for me, I didn't really explain how much Fuqua meant to me and why I wanted to go to Fuqua. And so my plan in particular was to just really show Fuqua that they were my number one. And every 2 weeks, I think, I found a reason to send an updated essay, things I learned in the past 2 weeks and how that related to my like love for Fuqua and how like, everything just like links together. I also was attending every single session available because I couldn't come all the way just for sessions. So I had to rely on the virtual sessions. I didn't know if it was working, but I just kept going, And then one day I got a call while I was at the office. I couldn't pick up, obviously, also because of the time difference. So I had to I missed the call. Then I got an email saying, hey, we tried calling you earlier. You should let us know when you're free to talk. We want to discuss a few things. I was like, what else do they want to discuss? Like, I've given you everything. I've said everything. Literally, I have nothing left to give. I reached back out and she was like, I know you've been reaching out to us very much recently. And we just wanted to tell you that we're offering you an admission and scholarship, And I was like, wait, what? I literally didn't wake up that morning expected to hear back. As a matter of fact, I had already started like shifting my mindset to applying it again in the next year because it was quite late. I think this was around May, and that's quite late for internationals because of like the whole visa issues and things. But, it happened on the 2nd of May. I heard back from Fuqua, literally changed my life has been like very different from that day on.
I love that story. So every 2 weeks you were finding something to give them an update on.
Some people are like, how did you do it? Like, I don't know, inspiration. When you have a one-track mind and everything you think about is that particular thing, you would see the connections in every other thing that you do and how that connects to the thing that you've been thinking about. And that was it for me. I remember some days I go to bed, I have a dream, I'd wake up and that dream would give me an inspiration or something to write it.
Wow. It's funny that you say, to put it, that the recruiter was like, well, to put it nicely, a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of like, hey, if we give you an admission, will you stop bugging us? I never get tired of telling that story because, it kind of reflects the kind of attitude I like, which is never say die, never say never until it's actually over.
Man, I love that. Never say die. And not only to come back and get the offer, but you got a scholarship, you mentioned. Everything worked out. Awesome.
Yeah, Drexler, it was crazy. I don't know, but for me, because I'm a believer, I just believe that God just planned everything out because I got the admission offer. I got some scholarship, which at that point, no one's expecting to still get scholarships.
Right.
I got scholarship. It wasn't even a month from then. I got the Bain offer.
Oh, awesome.
Everything just happened back to back to back. Literally, I think I applied to Bain like 3 days after getting my admission because it literally was that day was the deadline. So if I had gotten my admission like maybe a week after, I wouldn't be here today. It's hard for me to say that that was luck because I'm not that lucky.
Yeah. Hard to claim that's not some divine intervention, maybe. That's awesome. That's the way I like to look at things when I can. Something I wanted to call out is that you feel in your initial application that you just didn't express how much you truly did feel for Duke Fuqua. Is there any other particular thing that you can point at and say, I should have done this differently?
Yeah, I think, sometimes we know what we think, but expressing that is a little different. Sometimes we just expect the people to understand what we mean when we say certain things. But then I realized, like looking at my essays, I probably didn't put forward my best genuine self, which I felt like was a very good fit for Fuqua. And that also, I would chalk it up to like being very busy at the time and just trying to like send out the essays. So I think like my initial essays, while they were okay, they were not very tailored to Fuqua and what Fuqua needs. I think the most common mistake that people make when applying to B schools, just because they have similar questions doesn't mean that you have to answer them the same type of way, And that was, I think, part of my mistake. So I had to take the time to really, really, really dig deep into Fuqua, find where we align. And those were the things that I updated them on. It wasn't just like completely random updates, things that actually spoke to me about the Fuqua program and things that I felt like I really wanted to do. And I would say like maybe not all, but for most of my updates and those things that did excite me, I actually did go ahead to do them, or at least attempt to do them while I was at Fuqua. So I had like a lot of like full circle moments because they'd like remind me of, remember when you were like writing about this and you said you were going to do it? Well, now you've done it and it felt really great. So I would say definitely for me, it was trying to connect Benedict to Fuqua and then show them that connection.
I love that. Okay, can you share maybe one or two of those full circle moments? What are some highlights?
Yeah, I can definitely share one. I wanted to do the Fuqua on Board program, and it's Fuqua on Board. It's one of those. I think a lot of business schools have this, but basically they connect business school students to nonprofit boards to basically be a non-voting member. I actually had the opportunity to serve with Wheels on Wheels Durham, and it allowed me to, leave out that training, just like I said, and gave me insights into like basically how a nonprofit board operates. And it was a very interesting experience, I would say. So that's definitely one of the ways that the things that I said that came full circle. The other ones I don't think I can share on this podcast.
Well, you have piqued my curiosity, but I will respect your Meals on Wheels. So that's awesome. That sounds really, really rewarding. These discussions at this point in time are some of my absolute favorites because when you chat with someone who's about to start the program, the eyes are full of wonder, full of, anticipation. And when you talk to someone who's in the throes of it, it's just a lot of busyness. Like they're trying to do everything that they can to make the most out of it. I love talking to people who have just wrapped up because there's so much introspection and so much reflection. I would love to know what were some real highlights of your time at Duke?
I have so many of them. I went into the MBA program, also wanting to learn, but also remembering like, hey, at least you don't have work for 2 years. So just like make the best of this 2 years. So I have a lot of memories. One that stands out is just going to the Duke basketball games. We have this camp out that we do every year in October in the fall. And it's kind of like a lottery. So we camp out for a whole weekend. And at the end of it, you get to find out if you have the opportunity to buy season tickets or not. And I camped out 2 years in a row and I won the ticket 2 years in a row. So I went to a lot of Duke basketball games. So that is a big highlight for me. Also, the actual process of camping out is something that I wanted to do. And it's one of the things that I said, like, I wanted to actually experience. And I did, twice in a row. Most people do it once and they're like, I'm done with it. Right. But for me, I was like, I did it the first time and I was like, wow, it's actually stressful. But second year, I was like, when am I going to get to do this again? I'll do it again, So that was fun. I also enjoyed traveling with my friends. So I couldn't really travel in first year. By the time second year rolled around, I literally was traveling every break and with like different sets of people to different places. And it was really fun, getting the opportunity to actually know your classmates and build that bond, not around the four walls of Fuqua. For me, those were like some big highlights. And yeah, maybe I should also mention actually learning because that is what we went to school to do. But yeah, there were some very fun classes that I had. One of them was negotiations. We literally just like will come to class and negotiate all day for 12 classes.
Did it ever get heated?
Oh yeah, like some negotiations definitely got heated. Like my last negotiations, we didn't come to an agreement and ended up being the only team in class not to reach an agreement. So that was awkward. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
We'll ask you the flip side too. So what are you telling someone who's about to start? Hey, I didn't do this, or I did this and I wish I had done it a little bit differently.
Well, not really, because I did it all. Well, I'm 20. There's no possible way you can do it all. I think one advice I will have for people, try to prioritize. People come in and they try to do everything. I think there are like three main buckets. Not to sound like a consultant. There's the social aspect, there's the recruiting aspect, and then there's the actual learning aspect. So out of these three buckets, which one comes first for you, which one comes second, and which one comes third? I think you can already rank mine for me based on the stories that I've told you. From
Yep.
those rankings that you've done, then you should be able to say like, okay, when things come up, what should I give my attention to? Because what bucket does it fall into, right? And it doesn't mean to say like this is going to stay the same the entire program. For example, you might initially rank recruiting first and then you get a job in January. Now you no longer need to think about recruiting. What's next after that? Is it social or is it that you actually want to learn? This is just a way to think about things and you have to be okay with missing out on things. FOMO is real in the MBA program. You cannot be everywhere at the same time. You're going to get burnt out. All right. So choose your battles, put them in the buckets, see what is important to you, and then give your attention to that.
I love those buckets. That's a great bucketing system for the MBA program. Okay, Benedict, this has been so fun to hear your own time. I'll end with an open-ended question. Anything that you want to share to someone who's thinking about getting an MBA?
Don't compromise. Don't compromise on the school that you want to go to. Don't compromise on who you are. Try to match who you are with wherever program you're trying to get into. If you do that, you're going to have the best time. I can't imagine going to any other business school. When I got waitlisted, I can't imagine how my experience would have been if I had gone to like a different business school. I'm sure it would have been fun. I'm sure it would have been fun in its own way. But man, the fun that I had going to the program that I wanted to go to, not having at the back of my mind, like, hey, what if I went to the other program? You know, it just allowed me to be free and to fully immerse myself in the experience. And I know some people who had, like, they came to Duke, well, maybe Duke wasn't their first choice, right? We had completely different experiences in the same environment. So, you know, don't compromise on the school, don't compromise on who you are. Hopefully it all works out for you.
Incredible. There have been so many great themes that you've shared. Never say die, don't compromise, the persistence. Thanks, Benedict. Thank you so much for coming on, sharing your time, putting up with my terrible scheduling. Thank you. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you for having me. I was very excited to come on because I once had a thought like, what if someone's like had a podcast about business school? And then we got connected. So.
Oh, great. Well, I'm happy that it happened.